Right now, about 11 months ago, I did a video just like this. Since we've only got a few months left in the year, I wanted to do an updated version for the current year. So this is going to be the worst ranked squatters in the UFC for the year 2024. Now, a ranked squatter is somebody simply who holds a number next to their name in the UFC rankings near the top of their division and they don't deserve it, whether it's because they've not won any recent fights or they've been inactive altogether, whatever it may be. In my opinion, these guys do not deserve to have the numbers next to their name that they currently do. Okay, now some of the guys on this list are the exact same people that were here last year. I will point that out as we go along. Also, some of these guys have fights booked, right? So they have the opportunity by the end of the year to get off this list. I will point those out as we go along as well. I've tried to pick at least one individual for each weight class. We're going to start with flyweight and we will work our way up. If you disagree with anybody on this list, you think you would put somebody else there instead, let me know down in the comments below. I would be happy to read those suggestions, okay? So let us start with flyweight immediately. The first guy on this list, okay, Amir Albazi, in my opinion, is the worst ranked squatter in the flyweight division of 2024. He has not fought in about a year and a half. His last win was a controversial split decision over Kai France, who has since fought and won against Steve Erceg, who has looked phenomenal up until that point, right? And also, Amir Albazi's only other win was against Alessandro Costa. He's got 2 fights in the UFC, 2 wins. One of them, unbelievably controversial, hasn't fought in a year and a half. The other guy, not even ranked anymore. Do you know what I mean? So a completely irrelevant win for this division as it stands right now. And like I said, been inactive. Last win was, iffy at best. Now, he does have a fight coming up, so he does have a bit of an opportunity to get off this list. But as of right now, as it stands right now, he is the worst ranked squatter in flyweight for 2024. Moving up to bantamweight. Exact same guy that was on this list last year. I had a lot of people disagree with me on this one. Have no idea why, but I feel like it's almost impossible to disagree this time around. Okay, Henry Cejudo. This guy does not have a win in over 4 years. Okay, he was on my list last year, as I said, and since has still not won a fight. He's lost against Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili as well, although he's only fought once since that time. The only 2 wins that he has in this weight class of bantamweight is Marlon Moraes, who is Marlon Moraes, I swear to God, was like a bot that was programmed to just get knocked out at any, or get finished, I guess, right? Or at least we found that out. I know Henry Cejudo was kind of the first one to make him look like that. But that was a long time ago, 5.5 years ago, literally over half of a decade. Okay, and that's how he won the title. Marlon Moraes wasn't even the champion at the time, by the way. And then his only title defense was against Dominic Cruz. Right? People like to go after Aljamain Sterling's title run, and I'm one of those people. But Henry Cejudo's, or title reign rather, Henry Cejudo's was not very good. Dominic Cruz was coming off the couch, short notice opportunity, hadn't fought in a good long while. But nobody really criticizes Henry for that for some reason. Dominic Cruz also somehow still in the top 15. He's ranked number 14, if I'm not mistaken, at this time. But that is Henry Cejudo's only win in bantamweight that is currently still in the sport. And Dominic Cruz has not fought in a good long while either. So, 0-2 in 4 years. And he's number 6, bro. How is this guy ranked number 6? When he's just lost twice in a row? He came back and lost to Aljamain Sterling and got put at number 3. That makes no sense at all. But there were people in my comments arguing with me, well, he had a very close fight with the champion, so it's fine that they put him there. Also, he was the champion, even though, again, never took it off a champ. But either way, at this point, I feel like there's no way he should be ranked even remotely close to the top 5. Get him at the very least outside the top 10, period. Okay, moving up to featherweight. Now, last year, Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega just skated by on this one, okay, because he gave Diego Lopez a chance. This is part of what I consider to be a rank squatter. If you are unwilling to fight somebody ranked below you because you do not want to lose that number, right? Whereas if you fight somebody ahead of you, you won't go down a whole lot in the rankings, if at all. Brian Ortega gave Diego Lopez a shot, ranked 10 spots below him. Didn't have to do that, but he did. So, Brian Ortega's off the hook for this year, okay? So Yair Rodriguez is who's on this list. He is the worst ranked squatter at featherweight for 2024. He has lost to numbers ranked 1, 2, and 5, right? Volk, Holloway, and Ortega. His last win was over Josh Emmett. I think that was 2 years ago almost. Maybe not quite 2 years. but definitely over a year and a half. He's 2-3 in his last 5, and I don't get it, right? Ortega gets punished, obviously, for losing to Diego Lopez, but somehow he gets put behind Yair Rodriguez, who he just finished not that long ago. Do you know what I mean? So, Yair Rodriguez in the last 5 years has beaten Josh Emmett and Jeremy Stevens. And of course, the Brian Ortega, the first one, which was an injury. I understand that Yair was the one that put him in that position to get injured, but it wasn't like it wasn't as definitive as the way Brian Ortega finished Yair Rodriguez, at the very least, not in my opinion. So, Yair, you need to fight, my guy, because I have no idea how you're ranked within the top 5. You've got no top 5 wins, and, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. He was getting the Brian Ortega treatment as well, but he was a little more active. So last year, he was off the hook. This year, Brian Ortega's off the hook. Yair Rodriguez, worst ranked squatter at featherweight. Moving up to lightweight, again, the exact same person that was here last year, Michael Chandler. A lot of people disagreed with this one as well. I have no idea how this guy's ranked number 6 at this point in time in 2024. We are near the end of 2024, okay? And people are going to point out Michael Chandler has a fight in November, and yeah, he does, but that is the exact kind of fight I would expect from a ranked squatter like Michael Chandler, right? I understand that he's going to take the opportunities that are given to him, but the fact is that this guy has turned down fights with like Sarukian, Gamrot, all before the Conor fight, by the way. Or before the Conor fight was supposed to be a thing. He was unwilling to fight guys that were below him in the ranking. He is still unwilling to do that. He's fighting Charles Oliveira. If he loses to Charles Oliveira, he will maybe go down a single spot, if that. If that, okay? Also, this fight is like a true, and listen, this is good business, but you're still a rank squatter. This is like a win-win situation. You win against Charles Oliveira, you are getting a title opportunity most likely when you have gone 2-3 in the UFC up until this point, beating only Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson, and you're going to get another title shot, okay, if you beat Charles Oliveira. If you lose to Charles Oliveira, Conor might actually be more enticed to come back because he's going to view you as being even more finishable. So either way, you could have a positive outcome for Michael Chandler's career. Meanwhile, he just gets to sit there just outside the top 5, which I believe last year when I did this, he might have been ranked number 4, and I have no idea why, right? Even when we look at his wins, Tony Ferguson, it was not like Chandler got him when he was still the boogeyman, right? And he even got dropped by Tony. Tony had lost a few times pretty badly at that point. Dan Hooker, that win only aged well as of last fucking month. And not because of something Michael Chandler did, because Dan Hooker went out there, did something Chandler would not do, fight Mateusz Gamrot, and beat him. Okay, so no idea how he's ranked, where he's ranked. It's nice to see Dan Hooker jump above him in the rankings. It's a testament to Michael Chandler's inactivity. Right, it's been, when he does fight, it will have been over 2 years, or about 2 years. And last year it had been a year, obviously. But, no idea how he's ranked number 6. No clue. No clue, But either way, moving up to welterweight. This one was super easy, okay? Colby Covington, and it's not even close. I'm going to give an honorable mention to somebody else in a second, but dude, Colby Covington's last win was against Jorge Masvidal. That's like 2.5 years ago or something like that. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. And you know what? It took that many years to have 5 fights. He has had 1 fight a year for the last half of a decade. So he is extremely inactive. His only wins are over a retired Tyron Woodley, who went on to get starched by Jake Paul and all the rest of it, and a Jorge Masvidal, who, hasn't won in a good long while. As well, right? So, I mean, it's getting brutal at this point. Also, seemingly turning down fights against younger contenders, right? We were supposed to get the Ian Gary fight. We never did. There's no way this guy's saying yes to a Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. This guy's probably not saying yes to a Jack Della Maddalena fight. This guy is going to wait for the best stylistic matchup that he thinks he can get, right? That's why he was calling for Wonderboy Thompson after he completely shit the bed against Leon Edwards, a very undeserved title shot, and somehow, someway, Colby Covington is ranked number 5 in 2024. Okay, in 2024. Now, honorable mention. Could be here next year. You never know, dude. Kamaru Usman. Okay. Kamaru Usman's not won a fight in 3 years. I give him a little bit more leeway, a little bit more wiggle room, because he was a champion. He was pretty active as a champion. And he's also he's had tougher fights than Colby has in the same amount of time. And, pretty significantly. But when we go back to his last win, it was actually against Colby Covington a good while ago, right? 3 years ago. And that fight could have been a draw, if we're being honest with ourselves, right? Could have been a draw. But, and since then he's dropped 3 straight. one of which wasn't even at welterweight, right? So he's not even been active in his weight class in a good while. Now, the only thing I think that's saving him is the fact that at his weight class, he's only lost to Leon Edwards, essentially, right? So, but if he doesn't get active and he remains number 2 in the world, he'll be here next year, dude. Okay, I'll tell you what. But for right now, Colby Covington, worst ranked squatter at welterweight by far. Moving up to middleweight. Middleweight might be the worst division in terms of ranked squatters. You could pick like 5 different guys here, okay? I went with 2 because I said I was going to pick at least 1 for each weight class. But honestly, there's like I said, 5 different dudes you could throw in here, and I wouldn't disagree with most of them. Okay, but for me, the worst ones are Paulo Costa and Khamzat Chimaev. Okay, and I think these 2 are the worst, and I don't know that it's all that close. Vettori you could maybe throw up here, but Khamzat Chimaev somehow ranked in the top 15. I think he's like number 12 with no ranked wins at middleweight. Fought a Kamaru Usman on 11 days notice, and in my opinion, that fight should have been a draw, and got plucked within the top 15 at middleweight. It makes no sense whatsoever. He's not fought since then. That was what, October of last year, or it might have been early of this year, but regardless, right? He's had fights booked. He's had to pull out of fights a lot of times in the last couple of years. He's been very inactive. And like I said, no ranked wins in the weight class that he's ranked in. It's very, very strange to me. Okay, and that win, in my opinion, should have been a draw. Paulo Costa, much the same, but honestly, probably a little bit worse in terms of statistics. He's 1-4 in the last 4 years. His only win was against Luke Rockhold. Okay, that's not great. An older Luke Rockhold, who that was his retirement fight for the UFC at the very least, right? Even Vittori's got to win over Paulo Costa. I don't care if you think his fight with Strickland or his fight with Whitaker was close or entertaining or whatever. The fact is he's not won in a long time, and it was against an old Luke Rockhold. So, no idea how he's inside the top 10. Both these guys, in my opinion, should not have a number next to their name until their next fight. You want to throw the number right next to their name as soon as they get a victory? Go for it. But as of right now, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Moving up to light heavyweight, okay? Now, this one, completely and totally inconsequential to me. Doesn't matter. I just had to pick somebody for this weight class. But if I'm being honest, at the top of light heavyweight, a lot of these guys are active, right? Whether or not they're winning or they're losing or whatever, they've all kind of fought one another, or at the very least been fighting. So I went with Nikita Krylov. He's not really a ranked squatter, dude. I just had to pick somebody, okay? Now, he's not fought in about a year and a half. His most recent wins have kind of aged like shit, right? Ryan Spann and an older Alexander Gustafsson. Like, he's not got a whole lot of really good name wins, or at the very least not at the time that he fought them. But to be fair, he's fighting down in the rankings pretty soon, I believe, either at the end of October or maybe November. But I had to pick somebody. So as of, in a month or 2 from now, I won't really consider him a ranked squatter, because he'll either have defended his spot against somebody behind him in the rankings, or he will have dropped in the rankings, and it doesn't matter. Now, this next one, okay? This next one is the worst ranked squatter, period, in 2024. And not just because he's a heavyweight, but because this is the most consequential ranked squatter in the UFC currently to this day, okay? Many people are going to disagree with this, probably going to be controversial, but it is Jon Jones. I don't give a shit if he's the champion. He's squatting on that rank. He should not be the champion at this time, okay? This guy is refusing, literally ducking a fight with the interim champion, refuses to defend his title against the rightful contender, is opting out to fight Stipe Miocic, who has not won in, I think, 4 years. Okay, last time he fought, he got flatline KO'd, folded like a lawn chair. He's in his 40s, extremely inactive. I have no clue. This guy is the worst rank squatter, period. He's holding up an entire division's championship belt so he can pursue his dreams of fighting some senior citizen. I don't get it, dude. And then we get gaslit by the likes of Daniel Cormier, Dana White, and Joe Rogan, and guys like this who are like, if there's any 2 guys that could pick who they get to fight, it's these 2. Yeah, maybe, but not for a championship, dude. You are completely delegitimizing the belt. Your only win in this weight class is over a guy that was not champion, who has only fought, the honorable mention, honestly, Cyril Gahn could be here as well. Guy's ranked number 2 in the division. He's fought 1 time since losing to Jon Jones, which I'll point out is more than Jon Jones. Okay, but it was against Sergey Spivak, and he's also refused to fight with Tom Aspinall. So both these guys are ranked squatters. But for me, John Jones is the most consequential by far because, like I said, he is the champion. He's holding up an entire division, and he's not only does he not really deserve that title, he's proving that every single day by blatantly ducking a fight with the rightful contender, the interim champion, Tom Aspinall. If you want to fight Stipe, that's perfectly fine. You should not be doing it for the championship belt because at this point in time in 2024, it means literally nothing. Okay, it means nothing. So, John Jones, quit rank squatting. And yes, I know that he has a fight in November. Problem is, if he loses, we might actually see him get a rematch against Stipe, which could take another 2 years. Okay, so let's hope that's not. I would love to see Stipe Miocic KO John Jones. I don't know if that's probably not going to be the case, and the long-term consequences could be dire and serious. Not just that, the UFC keeps talking like, oh, Tom Aspinall's the backup. Well, what do you think will happen if Stipe gets injured? Yeah, right. John Jones is not going to fight Tom Aspinall. We will get held up for 6 months, another year, or what? Who knows? So. He is a rank squatter. He is currently rank squatting. Even if he wins against Stipe, I don't give a shit. He is still holding on to that C that he should not have. Tom Aspinall should be the champion, point blank period. Or at the very least, John Jones should fight him for it. Okay? So, I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with that one. Again, an honorable mention to Cyril Gane. I have no idea what that sound was. I do apologize for that. But either way, dude, this has been the worst ranked squatters for the year 2024. Again, some of these guys could get their names off this list, but as of right now, for me, this is them. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you with the next video. Bye-bye.